So last month, April, was National Poetry Month, and I decided to take part of the National Poetry Month Challenge, which essentially is where you just try to write poetry every day. I didn't quite hit every day, but more days than not. And man, the Lord just poured out so much, and I was honestly a little nervous to even go into this challenge because I am what I would consider an inspired writer. Unless someone asks me to write something specifically for something, I rarely sit down solely just to write and just push stuff out. I write as things come to me. I'll jot ideas down, or I'll write as I feel the Lord stirring something or pouring something out. So I just didn't want to use my gift to just force or push anything that weren't His words. And just what came last month was just incredible as God poured out new words. And as He finished poems that have been in the works, some for well over a year, and as I was sitting down this past week and picking out which poems, actually I knew right away. I knew what poems I was going to, I wanted to do tonight. But as I was working through the set order and what I wanted to do when, it just hit me what a theme God was pouring out in all of these poems. And I truly didn't realize it at the time as I'm writing. And I began to see how He was pouring out this theme of identity and freedom. And as that began to click, when I'm putting the order of things together, I felt like God really dropped it on me. Like, that's no coincidence that I would pour out these words for identity and freedom when we are in the season that we're in. And I don't know about you, but it seems to me like we are all in a place of being forced to face ourselves, I guess you could say, or spend more time with ourselves than some of us maybe than we've spent in a long time, and others maybe the first time you've really just sat with yourself, really ever. And He began to reveal to me too that, and even in my own life, all the ways that He has been stripping us of things and clearing things off our plates that so many of us have associated with our identity. And what we don't realize about the importance of understanding our identity is what we tie our identity to is what we tie our worth to. And maybe some of you, I know things are starting to reopen and most people are getting back to work. So maybe you're getting back to your jobs. Maybe some of you are still waiting to be called back. But regardless of where you are right this moment, maybe these last 2 months, maybe some of you have been in a season where God has completely taken away a huge part of something you thought was your identity. And maybe it was a job, maybe it was a volunteer position, maybe it was an extracurricular or an area where you get to use your gift or your talent. And now that's gone and questionable how long it's going to be. And maybe you've just been battling your identity and your worth, not having those things so immediate. And so He just began to show me how it's no coincidence. I'm giving you words to draw you back to your true identity. And understanding our identity means we need to understand the things that have to get pulled away. And those are kind of some of the common themes over the next couple of pieces that I'm going to share with you. And this next one, this next poem talks about breaking generational curses. And I've realized that that's a concept that not a lot of people are aware of. And maybe you are. Maybe you're even aware that you are right in the middle. You are stuck in a generational curse, and maybe you recognize it, and maybe you don't know how to break free. Or maybe for some of you, maybe this is the first time you've ever given thought to the idea or ever even heard of it. But regardless of where you are, I pray that the Lord speaks to you through this. I pray that any of you who might be battling this or going through this, I pray that the Lord gives you a new revelation, a new insight, and that you draw close to Him to give you the strength, to give you the wisdom needed to break away from things that you need to break away from. So this next one is called Broken Cycles, and I pray over you, and I pray over this poem that those of you that you know right now, you know that you are stuck in a generational curse. I pray that the Lord gives you the strength to make this your personal proclamation. Today is the day. The day you say goodbye to trends, the day you say goodbye to that cyclical syndrome and stop taking claim just because it came from your father and his father before him. Today is the day you will say goodbye to those old strings attached to your thoughts and emotions, those old strings who, like a marionette for so long, have set you into motion. But it runs in my family, you say. Well, not today. Those thoughts, that disorder or condition hovers above you without your permission. You may not have asked for it, and maybe it takes deep root like the sprouted essence of a tree that bears no fruit. Where did it come from? And who planted this seed? Who watered it and nurtured it and gave it grounds to breed? Confusion and dissension droop low where blossoms should be, while inward growing thorns have become your method of protection, guarding a heart that longs to beat but only manages to seep and fester with infection caused by the wounds of the past. And with bloodied knuckles, the familial baggage stays tightly grasped in two weary hands that never even ask to pick it up in the first place. But as far as you're concerned, this has always been your place. Your dad carried them, and his dad did too, so it only makes sense that it would get passed off to you. I mean, it's DNA, genetics, right? It's the bloodline flowing inside, so you've got no option but to just accept it and fall in line. Left, right, left, right, left. Repetitious commands echo from ear to ear. Repetitious commands drumming up fear of what you'll become, fear of passing this on to your daughter or son. But those are the lies that keep you marching in time to the beat that enslaves and ravages your mind, tilling the ground where only the remnants of the curse of your forefathers are found. There's no life, nothing fresh, nothing new that can be found in the words that the whispers of the past are feeding you. Give in, they urge. Just accept it, they say. There's nothing you can do. You were simply born this way. But your heavenly Father says, I've got so much more in store for you. In fact, he gave his only son to break this curse off of you. This may be your lineage, but it's not your destiny. For who the son sets free is free indeed, even freed from the darkness of a depraved genealogy. The burdens your ancestors carried are no longer yours to bear. The ties that bound them no longer hold you here. There's hope and a future waiting for you, a life of new promises waiting to come true, a life worth living, a life where you're free. So today you can say, this cycle stops with me.